Happy New Year and happy 2021. It's a brand new year, which means we've got a whole bunch of new books to read for this channel. I am so looking forward to sharing all my reviews with you, all my insights into the books I read, and maybe do a few other things with the channel this year as well. Really looking forward to it. I've got some ideas for what I want to do for 2021. So stay tuned and we'll talk all about that. Until then, hold on right here. I'm going to go play the intro and I'll be right back, and I'm going to show off my current Tbr Pile to start this video out. So if you're interested, stay tuned. That is coming right up. Hey, I am back. Okay, so let's start for a moment quickly with Goodreads challenge. So last year, of course, I'd set a goal of I completed 70 books. My goal was 60. So this year, I have decided that I'm going to set a goal of 75 books for Goodreads. So this is definitely an ambitious goal considering how much I normally read in a year, but who knows, I might accomplish it. I might not, and if I don't, that's okay too. But that is going to be my target for Goodreads challenge for 2021. And of course, this is something that I believe is very doable in the end. Just depends on how much time I get to actually do the reading. But hey, that is my goal. So let's get into it. Let's talk about a little bit about what my plans are for the channel for 2021. So without further ado, here you go. Are you ready to see my TBR pile for this year? Now, I gotta warn you that the pile's kind of big, and honestly, I've got more books on this pile than I could read in a year. But I'm excited for many of these books in this pile, and I'm really looking forward to showing you now. This pile itself does not actually include any of the books I actually have on order. Now, there's a lot in this pile, so I'm gonna try and see if I can maybe speed through this really quick for you. But just to give you an idea of what my pile is looking like for 2021 as I look to start my reading for the year. And then once I am done going through the pile of books here, I'm going to just go over some of my plans for the books for this year, as well as talk a little bit about the books that I'm most excited personally to read this year, and hopefully with any luck I can get to all the ones that I really want to read for this year. But like I said, I've got more books on my TBR pile that I could read in a year, and I've got more on order yet, which I expect to receive early this month here in January. So without further ado, here is my list or pile of books that I'm going to be reading this year, or at least most of them. Probably not all of them, but most of them anyway. And this is what you can have to look forward to upcoming in 2021. there you have it. There is my TBR pile for 2021. As you can see, it is a rather large pile right now. And again, this doesn't even include the books that I've got on order right now, which I think I got about 8 on the way. It does not include the rereads I'll be doing as I read along with Audible and reread some books that I was really enjoying. So there is a lot to come in 2021. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't think there's any way I could actually get through this entire pile by the end of 2021. I mean, realistically, I read 70 books last year. This to be read pile is something like 90 books. So I just don't think I'm actually gonna get through all of them. So rather than trying to power through and get through all of them, I mean, I'll get to them all eventually. You know, I thought I'd just take a look at, see what are some of the books that I am most anticipating reading this year, and what do I want to see happen as far as those books, and which ones do I want to get to this year. Before we get into my most anticipated reads for the year, I thought I'd talk a little bit about what I plan to do with the channel, specifically in terms of how I'm going to approach my reading. So there's 2 things that I plan on doing a little bit differently than most years with my upcoming reads as far as the year goes. And the first is, my wife got me this beautiful copy of Edgar Allan Poe's collected works. Love the gold edging to it. Got it as a Christmas gift. It's got its own little bookmark included, and it's just really nice copy. Now, Edgar Allan Poe is a literary classic writer, and you know, I love the kind of darkness behind his works. It's awesome to me, and there's a reason Edgar Allan Poe is a classic. What I've done is I've divided this into 12 different sections with all the short stories and poems included, and I'm going to focus on doing 1/12 of the book each and every month, and just focusing on some of the stories each month. So it's going to be the year of Edgar Allan Poe on this channel. I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the stories contained within this book of collected works over 2021, because I'm going to cherish this all year. So that's a little bit different, where normally I'll just sit down and I'll read through the entire book until it's done and give my thoughts on the book as a whole. Instead, I'm going to break this up into 12 parts and read each part separately this year. So that'll be fun. Stay tuned for that, especially if you like Edgar Allan Poe. This will be an interesting year of reads as I go through that in this book this year, so that'll be fun. So one of the other things that I'll be doing this year that's a little bit different than other years is I'm, at least for the first few books at the very least I expect, we'll see if I continue with this throughout the entire read-along. I'll be doing the read-along with Mike's book review on Malazan, Book of the Fallen. Right now, I've got the first one, Gardens of the Moon, which starts up, the read-along on this starts January 1st. So we're starting off with that in terms of the Garden of the Moon for the read-along, and I've got the next couple of books on order. I should be receiving them soon in the mail, so I've at least got the first part of the read-along down pat. Now, I'm just doing the novels themselves, not the short stories and the novellas that are also being included. You could definitely go check out Mike's channel for that. He's got a Discord, the link's on his channel. I'll link Mike's book review channel below so that you can go check that out if you want. But yeah, I just thought I'd join in the read-along he's having on Discord with that. Speaking of Discord, I am also on Discord. So if you would like to join me there, I will have my Discord link in the description below. That is something I've recently started up as well. I've got a few people in there. I'd love to have more if you want to join me over there. So definitely check that out. Yeah, starting with Garden of the Moon for the read-along with Mike's channel. Basically one book every month. He's actually timed it out to cover a full 2 years, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't know if I'm going to continue with the long haul. I guess it depends on whether I like the series or not. But those are kind of 2 things in terms of how I'm approaching my reading. And there's one more thing which is different than last year. I kind of started this last year. Is this year my goal is to read 1 nonfiction book each and every month at a minimum. So this is something that I'd like to do. I started doing that toward the end of 2020, but I thought this is a great time to pick it up and continue with that focus into 2021 to read at least 1 nonfiction month. So that is going to be something that I'm looking forward to doing as well, along with the Edgar Allan Poe and the Malazan Book of the Fallen read-along on Mike's book review channel. So this looks to be an exciting year. And of course, in addition to that, my plans for the channel, I'd also like to continue with the character video series that I've been doing so far. I have got Kaladin and Syl. I will link those videos below as well. From the Stormlight archive, I'm currently working on a Shalon video, which I hope to have out sometime this month. And I'm not sure which character I'm going to do next, but Shalon is upcoming, so I hope to kind of do that this year as well, kind of do some more character work, character video focus, rather than strictly book reviews and wrap-ups, which I'll continue with the book reviews and wrap-ups, of course, because that is the main thing of this channel is book reviews. But I'd like to kind of see if I can tweak it a little bit, maybe expand in some other types of videos and kind of see how that goes. One of my other goals for this year is I would like to have at least one patron by the end of the year. So by the end of 2021. So if you want to support this channel, I would love to have your support, and I appreciate your views, your subscription if you're a subscriber. That is absolutely 100% appreciated. Even that is support for this channel. But if you want to pledge even $1 per month towards this channel to help me with getting new equipment, getting more up to date with the hardware that I use to record these videos, I would love to get a laptop with an HD webcam, maybe an actual studio mic, and just kind of expand my equipment to continue to make better videos and use better software for editing, things like that. So if you'd like to support this channel, you could do so. Patreon will be linked below if you want to become a patron for as little as $1 per month. So those are kind of some of the ideas that I want to do with this channel for 2021. And of course, now we got to lead right into what books am I most anticipating for my reads this year. So to start off my most anticipated reads of the year, I'm going to split this slightly into non-fiction books that I'm looking forward to getting to, and sci-fi fantasy, the typical type of fiction book that I read. Now, I wanted to do a top 10 initially, but because a lot of these are actual book series, it's kind of hard to just divide them into 10, because one book series could potentially take up the entire top 10 slot if I want to read the whole series. So I'm not going with the top 10 necessarily, just going with books that I hope to get to this year and that I'm really looking forward to in terms of sci-fi fantasy and in terms of non-fiction. Okay, so the first books on this list will be the Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. I've heard a lot of good things about this over BookTube over the past year. It consists of Red Sister, Gray Sister, and Holy Sister. Now, my understanding, this is based off of the idea or concept of basically a school for nuns who are also assassins. So like this assassin nun school, which I thought was a pretty cool idea or concept for a story or a book. So that sounded really interesting. I've heard a lot of really great things about Mark Lawrence and how his books are, and that they're fun and exciting and good reads to come up into the new year. So definitely looking forward to Book of the Ancestor as far as upcoming reads for 2021. So here's another one that I've heard an awful lot about. This is based off of Chinese history, which is great because so much fantasy is that kind of European knights and wizards type fantasy. So I'm looking forward to getting into some fantasy that isn't based off of that type of cultural societal dynamic. So The Poppy War by Rf Wong. I've heard so much about The Poppy War, and this is going to be a good read. Everybody I've seen review The Poppy War on BookTube has said that it is a great book. So I have no doubt that this is going to be a great book, and with any luck, maybe it'll even make the top 10 reads of 2021. We'll see. So The Poppy War, based off of the Opium War in China, from my understanding. It's been described as grimdark. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it's as good as it has been described. Now, next up on the list, we have Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I actually have the second book on order in this series. So this is one that has also been getting a significant amount of praise. Again, this is an African-based fantasy, which, again, awesome that we're starting to see more diversity in the fantasy landscapes that are out there. in terms of the cultural dynamics and inspiration for these fantasy books. So I'm really looking forward to getting to Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. That should be a really interesting read, I have no doubt. I've heard a lot about it again. Okay, so next up we have Joe Abercrombie and his Grimdark series, First Law. He has kind of got a reputation for being like the king of Grimdark. So that is The Last Argument of Kings, The Blade Itself, and Before They Are Hanged. So this is a series I'm looking forward to getting to in 2021. I've heard a lot of really great things about Joe Abercrombie and his writing. I have read Joe Abercrombie before. Oh, it is half the world, half a king, half a war series. I just think of it as the half series, but this being the First Law series, and I've heard so many great things about this. Really looking forward to that. His character work, his storytelling, everything's been praised to the extreme on BookTube with the First Law. So there you have it. There's Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. Next up we have The Martian by Andy Weir. So yeah, this is kind of picked up popularity on BookTube this year as well. I'd heard about it, I know it's a movie, I knew it was a book before it was a movie, but I didn't know much about it. The more I've heard about it, the more intriguing it is. Basically, the concept is he becomes a Martian because he's left abandoned on Mars and he has to fight for his survival as the only man on Mars. So that definitely sounds like a fascinating concept for a sci-fi book. That is on my TBR for this year. So that's one of the ones I'm definitely excited to get to. I really look forward to checking that out. And like I said, I've heard a lot of praise about that. Next up we have The Expanse. So this is a big series. This is why I couldn't include it in just a regular top 10. The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. Prime Video series that I'm actually enjoying quite a bit. So I thought, why not get the books, right? The books are always better than the show or the movie. At least that tends to be how it goes. So The Expanse, big stack, big set of books. This will be a fun one to get to in 2021. And of course, The Expanse based in the future when mankind has colonized the solar system and different divisions and groups of people. You got the Earthers, the Martians, and the Belters. And they have all kind of developed their own societies. And of course, conflict arises within these cultures that have developed after the expansion of mankind into colonizing the rest of the solar system. So there you have it, The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. With any luck, I will get to these ones in the new year. So next up, we've got Christopher Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. So he is best known for his Aragon series. Now, I was lucky enough that I just happened to be at the bookstore when they had a signed copy available for sale. So I got lucky enough to be able to get a signed copy of To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which has gotten some decent praise on BookTube this past year as well. So I decided I'm gonna pick that up, check it out, because a lot of people, again, are talking about To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. So there you go, that's something that's going to be fun and interesting read in this upcoming year of 2021. Next up, before the last book, so next up, second to last. Now again, when I say second to last, this is not a reading order, it's not my preferred anticipated books order, it's just these are some books that I'm looking forward to getting to in 2021. So next up, Black Sun by Rebecca Rohnhorst. So this one is a South American inspired fantasy book, pre-Columbian South American culture inspired fantasy book. That intrigued me right there because the Aztec and Mayan cultures they've got some really awesome and cool history and mythology within their cultures. And so when I found out that this was inspired by pre-Columbian America, I thought I've got to get that book and pick it up because one, it's not European fantasy. Two, it's a culture that already has some really fascinating and really interesting theology behind it. So yeah, Black Sun by Rebecca Rohnhorst. This is going to be an interesting read for sure. It's definitely one that I am looking forward to this year. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for when I get to this one here. And of course, as mentioned earlier, my plan to split up into 12 parts is going to be the Edgar Allan Poe collected works. So I already talked a little bit about this one and what I plan to do with this one, but this is definitely on my anticipated reads for this year. So be sure to check it out all month, every month, as I go through the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe on this absolutely beautiful edition of it. So definitely stay tuned to the channel for that. Those are my fiction anticipated reads for this year. So if you have read or are planning on reading any of these books here, or maybe have an interest in reading any of these books that I've gone over, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know which ones you are looking forward to reading in 2021. Or if it's none of these, that's cool too. Just tell me what you want to read in 2021. I'm cool with that. Or any comments you might have on these books. And of course, with my goal of 2021 to read one nonfiction per month, we can't complete an anticipated read section of this video without including at least some of the nonfiction books that I'm looking forward to getting to in 2021. Now, this list isn't going to be as big. I do read a lot more fiction than nonfiction, but hey, you know, nonfiction is great too. I love to learn. It's one of my favorite things. So without further ado, here is my nonfiction TBR, the ones that I'm looking forward to getting to in 2021. So one area of science that has been of a peak interest for me is like quantum physics and the nature of the universe. And where do we come from in terms of the universe? How does it all work? These questions are fascinating to me, especially when you get down to that quantum level, just the weird strangeness of it all. So some of the books that I plan on reading in 2021 deal with those ideas. Two of them are by Brian Greene. We've got The Hidden Reality. So this one deals with parallel universes and the laws of the deep cosmos. Parallel universes is actually quite a fascinating idea. So much science fiction has played off the idea of parallel universes. Trek, of course, has classically done this in every Trek series that has ever been put out. So parallel universes and the deep laws of the cosmos, the hidden reality, that is going to be fun to read. Just the idea of something hidden behind the reality of the cosmos, that alone is pretty fascinating idea, and quite frankly stokes my curiosity quite a bit. The next one is The Fabric of the Cosmos, Space-Time and the Texture of Reality. So dealing with what is reality and why does it exist? Like, what is reality? The texture, the fabric of space-time. It's again, just those very concepts in and of themselves are just very fascinating and interesting and intriguing, and definitely going to be of some interest for me coming up in 2021. So look forward to that, reading that one there. So one of the areas that I've wanted to get more into, especially after reading A Crack in Creation, is getting more into the areas of genetics and how does that work. So I picked up Richard Dawkins' The Selfish Gene. This is a classic one that is heralded as one of the best books on the subject ever written. When I asked what books I should get dealing with the topic of genetics, this one came up quite a bit, The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. I'd actually heard a lot about this book. I knew of the book. And so I decided to pick it up, check it out, The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. It is considered one of the best books on the subject from my understanding as well. So learning a little bit more about genetics and where that came from. What is genetics? How does it work? That kind of thing. We'll kind of see how this book plays out and kind of go from there. So of course, along with that, definitely wanting to learn more about our minds and brain psychology is certainly a fascinating subject. But particularly, what is the neuroscience and the brain chemistry and the mind? How does that work? So I picked up a book called Livewire, The Inside Story of the Ever-Changing Brain. So this one, all about the brain, another area that is an area of interest and I find quite interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what we learn about how our brains are constantly ever-changing and evolving. Livewired. So of course it is known that as we learn and consume more content and more data through our senses, essentially we rewire our brain. It forms neural pathways to create memories, knowledge, and all that good stuff. So this should be a really interesting read as well, all about the brain and how it works. And then the last one is going to be another Yuval Noah Harari book. So I have, of course, read his Sapiens and Homo Deus. This one is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So just from the back cover here, it says Yuval Noah Harari takes us on a thrilling journey through today's most urgent issues. His 21 Lessons for the 21st Century looks at the challenge of maintaining our collective and individual focus in the face of constant and disorientating change, and asks, are we still capable of understanding what we have created? So this should definitely be an interesting read as well. I really enjoy his Sapiens and his Homo Deus books, so I have no doubt I'm going to enjoy 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. So there you have it. That is my 2021 preview. Books I'm anticipating getting to look at my to-be-read pile, which as you can see is quite big at the moment. And you know, it's probably going to take me more than a year to get through this whole TBR pile, to be realistic. But hey, you know, that's part of it, right? I mean, that's the fun of it. Just collecting those books and ever adding to that. They pile up faster than I can read them, but hey, that's okay because I am a book nerd galore. Just love reading, and I always will. And it's something that I expect I'm going to be doing a lot of for the rest of my life. Now, of course, these TBR books, this TBR Pile, it doesn't even include the rereads I plan on doing. I'm working on the Wheel of Time right now. And I've got a few other book series on my radar to reread. So this doesn't even include those ones. So at the end of the day, you know, rereads, new reads, it's all good, it's all fun, and it all makes for a huge TBR for me at least. So there you go, that's what you have to look forward to on this channel in 2021. And you know, I hope that you will continue to come back and check out my videos. Like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram, but I do have a Patreon and a Discord, so if you want to support this channel for as little as $1 a month, click the link down below for Patreon, and support this channel for as little as $1 a month. I'll forever be grateful for that. At the end of the day, I'm just happy you want to watch my videos and you want to see what I have to put out here. Even if you just like it or subscribe, leave a comment, or even if you're just that quiet watcher who doesn't like, comment, or subscribe, that's cool too. It's all appreciated, and thank you so much. You know, the past year, 2020, was an awesome year for my channel, and I hope to make 2021 another awesome year for my channel. So thank you so much for watching. That is what I plan on for 2021. And you know, let me know what you think. Let me know what you're planning on reading, and you know, like, comment, and subscribe below. And thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep on reading. Bye.